Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today we have a knife review, and that is of this thing. Oh my goodness, what did Kershaw create? Yes, this is a Kershaw Launch, and man, is it a big one. Um, that being said, I don't typically gravitate towards push button autos or OTSs out the sides. Um, but I got this in a trade and it's okay. It's actually pretty impressive. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but I'll try to be fair to it and definitely point out the good parts and any sort of gripes I might have. So here we go. The overall length is 8.625 inches long. The blade length is 3.75 inches, so almost 4-inch blade. Blade thickness is 0.12 inches thick. The handle length is 4.857 inches long, and the handle thickness is 0.47 inches thick. And the overall weight is 3.25 ounces. That being said, when I got this knife, the thing that impressed me the most was just how light in hand it feels. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's over 3 ounces at all. And for the size, it's really well balanced, and the ergos and everything on this knife feel actually really good. Because a lot of times when I see knives with these strange kind of lines and geometry in them, and like it just seems very boxy and squared off, I don't ever think it'll feel necessarily that good in hand. But this is one of those ones where it might look funky, but it actually feels really good in hand. Especially once you get your thumb over this little kind of weird rise, or it's almost like a thumb ramp and then like a thumb divot. It's pretty funky, but once you sink it in there, it's actually pretty comfortable. So, yes, so this is a plunge lock, push lock, or plunge lock, push button auto. It's part of Kershaw's Launch series, which has been very popular. They have obviously several different models. This is the Launch 7. We'll start with the blade. It is a blacked out blade. Doesn't really say much as far as coating, but it seems pretty standard. We have the Auto Kershaw logo there. And it's kind of like a matte black finish. It doesn't seem like a glossy black, which is nice, so it's not going to reflect if you're one of those tactical guys and you're looking for a blade that doesn't reflect, whether you're in law enforcement, military, Coast Guard, whatever. Going into the handle, this is a Tim Gallion design. I'm not familiar with him, but I do really kind of admire his stylization throughout the handle. That definitely gives a lot more character to the handle. It has different machined out or pressed pockets and cutouts and spaces within it. All the hardware on it is black. Looks like we have an FRN or a GFN backspacer with some styling in there. There is no lanyard hole, and it's kind of a standard basic pocket clip with the Kershaw logo. The Launch series is made in the U.S.A, so I do like that engraved kind of U.S.A flag on the handle scale there. The handles are anodized aluminum, and that definitely helps with the weight reduction. And then, as far as I can tell, there are no liners. All the mechanisms of the knife are in the front here. And so they rely on the strength of the anodized aluminum to hold it together, but then everything else is inside the main hub around the pivot pin. So yeah, that's more or less it, guys. Not much to say. There is a little bit of texturing on that push button, but the push button really doesn't stick out beyond the depth of the frame there, which can be nice. But also, if you're trying to search for it, it might be hard to find. But I do like that. I feel it's a little bit safer to be recessed in there. And you have to consciously kind of try to find it. I will say that the spine feels almost like 90 degrees, so you probably could throw some sparks off it if you're using ferro rods or whatnot. But this thing kicks, and because it's so lightweight and the blade is so long, it generates a good amount of momentum, so you really want to have a good grasp on it. And it just launches out. So really awesome. Lockup is pretty much rock solid, but with plunge locks, you're gonna have a little bit of play. All right, so now let's get into the comparisons. I don't have a tremendous amount of big knives, and I wanted to kind of compare them to other autos or other semi-auto knives. Now, like I said, I don't gravitate towards autos, so the only one that I actually really own and care about is my Benchmade Casbah, which whoa! Don't drop your knives, guys. And always wear boots when you're doing knife reviews. But that's the reason why I don't necessarily like autos, because they throw out a lot of kick, and if you're not holding on to them tight, they can drop. But I do like this one, and I will say that the kick is much stronger on the launch. So that was kind of a blooper there for you, but definitely a lesson learned. So there's the Benchmade Casbah, and the other one, classic, is a Boker Kalashnikov. So all these snap out really well. Kalashnikov is definitely the best auto for the money. It's hard to beat that. Then I also have the Kershaw Camber, which is a larger semi-auto, speed safe. I guess we'll put the tips all up here. And then the last is the Kershaw Blur BDZ1 Tonto. Okay, as you can see, I mean, there's definitely a winner as far as handle length, and then blade length. If you look at the top, it's a good 1/4 inch longer than any other closest knife, and then at least a 1/2 inch, if not an inch, for the overall length. So pretty cool. Yeah, nothing compares. Closest thing might be the Casbah, but not by much. So let's check out blade thickness. Now, blade steel on this is 154 cm, I believe. And 154 is definitely, or CPM 154. CPM 154. That is the blade steel. But it works well. And as you can see, the profile of the knife, it's not very wide, so it is thinner, and that helps reduce the weight. Blade thickness, I'd say it's about the same. Obviously, length and everything else is a little different. With the Casbah, I'd say the Casbah might be just a hair thicker. Handle-wise, the Casbah is thicker for sure. One thing with the Casbah, though, is the Casbah actually has a safety lock, so you can either lock it open or closed, and you're not worried about it accidentally deploying in your pocket or whatnot. And then the Casbah does have jimping, so the Casbah is a little bit more tactical, though this one would still function in a tactical role, but they could be improved with some jimping just for grip. Okay, then on to the Boker. Blackout, obviously the Boker has more of that glossy finish, and this way you can actually see kind of like the matte finish on the launch. But the one thing the Boker has over it is it does have a deep carry pocket clip where the launch does not. So that's definitely an improvement that the launch could take into account. So there you have it. Blade thickness about the same. And then we got the Blur. Really similar. Everybody, you gotta love the Blur. Blur's a really cool blade. Blade thickness about the same. Handle-wise the same. Yeah, I will say in hand though, this finger choil probably makes this knife the most comfortable thing. That's the most comfortable thing about it, because that just sinks in, and your thumb rests up there. But I don't know, two different knives, but both are very good. So now there you have it. So all I can say is, who's this for? This would be great for just cutting open things. This is definitely a slicer, just with how the width of the blade isn't that big, and it's a high saber grind, flat ground, plain edge blade, so it definitely makes it a really good slicer. So for food prep, or if you're just slicing open packaging, will work great in that capacity. And if you're just looking for something that doesn't take up a lot of real estate in your pocket, and it's a large blade, this is actually a pretty nice one. And out of the Launch series, out of the ones I've handled, if it was just a little bit shorter, I'd definitely pick something more similar to this. So that being said, our last thing is our ugly brown glove test. The anodized aluminum handle scales are kind of like a matte finish, so there is barely any texture to it, but it is still kind of a little slick, but it does help. Basically, I do feel the jimping on the thumb or the push button, and it does give me enough grip to hold on to the knife. Now that choil helps me sink in, and I can actually get a pretty rock solid grip on it, which is something I didn't expect, so that's pretty nice. Plus these grooves here kind of lock into my fingers, but that choil is the main reason why it's locked in. Finding the button, pushing it down. I'm pretty surprised it actually works with the glove pretty well. So yeah, definitely doable. Surprisingly, it does pass the ugly brown glove test. Could it be a little better? Yeah, I kind of wish there was some texturing over on the flats of the scales, and some jimping would definitely improve the glove test. But overall passes with, I'd say, 75%. So good job, Kershaw Launch. So there you have it, guys. This is a Kershaw Launch. Price wise, it was around $100, but I know it can go on sale and whatnot. I'll include links down below to this knife and some of the other ones that I'm able to find. So definitely check those out. They definitely help me out. Other than that, please check out these other two videos here. Click that big round logo button to subscribe, or the red logo button down below. Check the eye in the upper right hand corner for other videos. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And question wise, do you like autos? If so, what's your favorite auto? Thank you guys, and I'll see you outside.